So your business is evolving, and you're thinking it's time for a new name. It's a really common move, but yeah, it does involve a bit of official paperwork. Today, we're going to cut right through all that jargon and give you a super clear, step-by-step guide on how to change your company name with Companies House here in the UK. And just so you know, all this great advice comes straight from the experts at Pro Tax Accountant. They've walked tons of businesses through this exact process, so we know we're getting the good stuff. But before we jump into the how-to, let's just take a second to think about the why. Does your current name really tell the story of who you are now? Maybe you've added new services, shifted your focus, or even merged with another company. A new name can be the perfect way to signal that big new chapter. All right, here's our game plan. We've broken it all down into 5 simple stages. We'll kick off with the ground rules, then walk through getting the official resolution passed, filing the actual change, tackling the admin marathon that follows, and we'll wrap up with a few common mistakes you'll definitely want to avoid. Okay, first things first, the prep work. And honestly, if you get this part right, everything else is going to be so much smoother. A little bit of homework here is going to save you a world of pain later on. Trust me. So the big thing is, you can't just pluck a name out of thin air. First, you've got to check the Companies House register to make sure it's not already taken or, way too similar to someone else's. Next, and this is super important, you need to check for trademark clashes. Companies House won't do that for you. And finally, just watch out for sensitive words like bank or royal. Those need special permission, and it goes without saying, make sure the name isn't offensive. And this just shows you why those checks are so vital. This is a real story. A client wanted Brit Hydro Ltd, all one word. But because Brit Hydro Ltd, 2 words, was already on the books, it got flagged. They actually had to write a whole letter explaining why their name was different enough to get it approved. See? That simple upfront check saved them from a flat-out rejection. So you've picked out a great name, you've checked it, and it's clear. The next step is getting it officially approved inside your own company. This isn't just a nice-to-do, it's a legal must-do. And that approval is called a special resolution. Now, the key thing to notice here is the number. This isn't just a simple majority vote. A special resolution means at least 75% of the shareholders who vote to say yes. It shows it's a major decision that has real backing. So, how do you get it passed? Well, you've got 2 main ways. You can call a formal general meeting, but you have to give everyone proper notice, usually about 14 days. Or, and this is a really popular way for smaller companies, you can just send around a written resolution. As long as members who hold at least 75% of the votes sign it, you're all set. But you have to follow the procedure set out in your own company's rulebook, the Articles of Association. Here's a little cautionary tale. A client only gave 10 days notice for their meeting, instead of the 14 they needed. What happened? The whole resolution was invalid. They had to start all over again, which meant a 2-week delay and paying extra costs, all from a simple slip-up. Okay, the resolution is passed, everyone's on board. Now it's time to make it official with Companies House. This is where the rubber hits the road. You're going to need to send in a form, but which one? Well, for pretty much everyone, it's going to be Form NM01. That's the standard one you use when you've passed that special resolution we just talked about. Form NM04 is way less common. That's only for the rare case where your company rules say the directors can change the name all by themselves. And how do you file it? This table lays it all out. As you can see, doing it online is your best bet. It's the fastest and cheapest standard option, just £20. If you're in a massive rush, you can pay £83 for their same-day service. You can still do it by post, but it's a bit slower and costs a little more. So yeah, for most businesses, this is the number to remember, £20. The standard online filing is cheap, cheerful, and gets the job done in a day or 2. Easy. But hey, if time is everything, maybe you've got a big launch planned or a press release going out, then that £83 for the same-day service might just be money well spent for that speed and peace of mind. So, you filed the change, it's approved, fantastic. But hold on, don't pop the champagne just yet. Now comes what we call the admin marathon. This is all the crucial follow-up stuff you have to do to make sure the world knows you by your new name. And listen up, because this is probably the single most important rule of the whole process. You cannot, I repeat, cannot, start using your new name for anything until you physically have that official certificate of incorporation on change of name. Jumping the gun here can land you in some serious hot water. And here's exactly why that rule is so critical. A client from Pro Tax Accountant got a bit too excited and sent out invoices with their new name before the certificate arrived. Well, their customer's finance team rejected them, And rightly so, because legally, that company name didn't exist yet. It held up their payment for 6 weeks. Can you imagine? An absolute cash flow nightmare. So once you have that certificate, it's go time. You need to work through your checklist and tell everyone. That means HMRC for all your taxes, of course. You have to tell your bank and anyone you have loans with. And then there's the commercial side. Landlords, suppliers, customers, plus your website, email signatures, business cards, right down to the sign above the door. We're almost there. To finish up, let's just quickly run through the most common traps people fall into. That way you can see them coming and make sure your name change goes off without a hitch. So here are the top 5 things to watch out for. Number 1, skipping those initial name and trademark checks. Big mistake. Number 2, not following the specific rules in your own company's articles. 3, using the new name before you get that official certificate. 4, taking your sweet time telling the bank and HMRC. And finally, number 5, not keeping both the old and new certificates safe. You might need them down the road to prove your company's history. Look, the process itself isn't rocket science, but the little details really, really matter. Taking the time to do it by the book from the very start is absolutely the key to a stress-free transition for your business. Of course, if this all sounds like a bit of a headache and you'd rather be running your business, the team at Pro Tax Accountant can handle the entire thing for you. You can reach them directly on WhatsApp or by phone at 7985689912 or just drop them an email at info@protaxaccountant.co.uk. And for more really useful business guides just like this one, make sure you subscribe to their YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching.